When it comes to building a startup on no code, do you guys feel that a startup using no code tools to build out their company are being recognized more today, of course, than they were before, in the space of even investment, right? Are they being more recognized now when it comes to investors? And I think, Miriam, you could really speak to this as creating a no code tool, right? And within that, creating that tool, you've also raised. So maybe I'll go ahead and let you start with that question.
Yeah, sure. So we have actually 1 year ago, we have talked to some investors who didn't believe that you can build an app without knowing how to code. They just didn't believe. And then this year, we just see more and more companies. We have seen recently in the no-code space, companies that have raised also money using no-code tools, right? We ourselves have a client who is just to raise funding, and they have built their entire platform on software. And of course, it's still, there is still lots of questions around that, but I think it's getting easier for sure. And there are definitely lots of investors wanting to see the tech build in-house, which to me is a bit, at this age, at this kind of world, it doesn't matter. And what really like good investors care is traction, is seeing that you have built something that people are ready to buy and pay you for. And once you have that, once you can validate an idea, once you can demonstrate that you have a product that is running, you have good customer base, etc., that is what really will attract investors. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much. Let's be honest, how many of the top known companies are tech companies where tech is the core, right? Like, is Facebook a tech company? Is Airbnb a tech company? They're not. They just have a platform where people are using and running a business on, but it's a business company, it's not tech. So that's where I see really most of the companies, like 70% probably of all the companies they don't have tech at their core. So definitely be possible to start with no code for sure.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, no one needs to know what you're running on. It's not in their face all the time. It's like, this is how my backend is made. No one knows what database I'm using when I'm coding my own app, and they don't need to know this for all the no code tools either. So as the product is growing, as the people are using it, that's what really matters. And when the investor come, as you said, eventually there's a tech that's like you own and your proprietary one that you connect with the rest of the tool, but I don't think that really matters early on.
If you look at what happened with the Hustle and Trends that got acquired by HubSpot, what was that run on? That was a Facebook group and a WordPress site. And they got acquired by HubSpot. Okay, so, and that's just one example, but it really depends on exactly, Miriam was talking about that traction and what you're going to be delivering. Even with our other ones that we've been at, the other startups I've been at, some of the founders, because they asked, and then you tell them, they like have no idea what those even mean. And like, oh, we built the X, Y, and Z. And yes, quiet. And it didn't do anything. So for the most part, they were looking at the numbers, all of those things. And I really think it's just positioning and making sure that it's valuable and then going from there.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, and we're well integrated with, the venture funding here in the LA area. And I think one is the function of educating and essentially allowing individuals to, or VCs, to better understand how to essentially what it basically means to build a startup in the no-code stack. And I think the conversations that we had so far, it's like, hey, if founders can validate for the fraction of the time and money with no code, it makes a lot of sense. It's like, hey, we're not sinking tens of thousands of dollars into a dead product that might not makes it. So many no code platforms, they run for like $50 to $100 a month. And essentially allow you to be flexible to do a lot of testing. And then if you essentially share that with VCs, their support for what after we explained it to VCs, they've been in very favorable towards that approach.
And also, let's be honest, once you reach to a specific point in a startup, like once you reach Series A stage, most of the companies are rebuilding their entire platform. Exactly. So it can then at that point, it would make sense when there is a really, when it does make sense, then you could anyway transition to your full stack team.
And at that point, it's totally justified, right? Because you identified a feature set that is needed and that's also used. You have, in this case, the specific instructions of how the user flow is, that you essentially can fully, build out and code for scalability and for further modifications, right? But this, like this long valley of uncertainty has been discovered with no code. And now it's like, okay, now we can essentially put engineering time towards something that we've validated and that is currently being used.